So here's another exclusive we did for YouTube. Bryan and I sat down and commentated and discussed Green Lantern for the 10-year anniversary, the 2011 film. We can't believe it's been that long. Bryan being a huge Green Lantern fan, and we talked and had a good time. So here it is for your listening pleasure. So I hope you enjoy. And check out our YouTube for more fun content, more coming soon. The move has kind of slowed a lot of that down, but enjoy.
This is Dan Jurgens, and if you want to have a good time, keep listening to the Krypton Report.
It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Jason J. Lewis, the voice of Superman on Justice League Action. This is Mark Wade, writer of Superman Birthright, and you're listening to
the All Things Kryptonian podcast, including Superman and Supergirl.
We discuss games, movies, cartoons, TV shows, and comics.
Find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter.
Welcome to the Krypton Report special presentation of the commentary track for the 2007, right? No, wait.
No, 2011.
No, I remember why I said 2007. You know why I said 2007, Bryan? Because if this movie had come out in 2007, it would have been a massive hit.
You really think so?
I do think so.
But why do you think that?
Well, I'll tell
you.
you.
This movie is so disappointing.
I'll tell you why.
Tell me why.
Because.
Tell me why.
Because in 2005, we
ain't
had.
Nothing but a heartache.
Tell me why.
Ain't nothing.
If no one's ever seen the Brooklyn Nine-Nine, just Google Brooklyn Nine-Nine with the Backstreet Boys. It's
now
perfect.
number 5.
That's him. That's who killed my brother. Oh crap! Yeah.
Anyway,
no, here.
2007.
So think about it. 2005 had been Batman Begins.
Fantastic.
And as fantastic as it was, it
Success.
wasn't the massive success. Like, it gained more notoriety and following when it hit home video. Okay? So everyone was prepared for The Dark Knight.
Batman Begins was more successful on home video?
It's back then when movies would do great in theaters or good in theaters, and then it would pick up more steam. You know?
Huh.
And because, 2006 was Superman Returns, which was a mixed appeal. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't like, oh my God, we all love it.
How do you make a movie where Superman doesn't throw a punch?
Obviously Bryan Singer did, because obviously no one watched X-Men and realized, hey, this guy really doesn't know action. He knows drama, which is great. But I want action. Now the climate has changed so much that they now will hire secondary directors as action directors to do the action scenes and let the other director just kind of oversee. That's anywhere in here. But
I think if we made a movie, I'd be your action director.
That'd be cool. So all that to think, the climate of comic book films changed dramatically in 2008.
Well, yeah, 2008 you had Dark Knight.
And Iron Man.
And you had Iron Man.
So and
you had the Hulk.
The Hulk. So you had the first two films in the MCU, and you had one of the greatest comic book films of all time. So from that moment on, everything changed.
I would put Iron Man up there as one of the greatest.
It's good. I
I
it's
would
really
put it
good.
in the top 10. Iron Man 1, not 2, not 3. Just the first one.
So I say, think about, was there a comic book movie that came out in 2007? I can't think of anything. Because even in 2008, you had Hellboy 2, which was really good, but came out like the week before or the week after The Dark. It was like so close to The Dark Knight, I think that's part of what killed its motivation.
When did The Last Stand come out?
2006.
Okay. Yeah. So, okay.
So I think even if it, even being a mediocre film and not the best, the fact that you would have come out at a time when, right before the climate shifted, and there was nothing else going on, I think it would have been a hit.
Also, in 2007, Facebook was like only 2 years old. Twitter wasn't even out yet.
Correct.
You wouldn't get all this internet hate that we so adore. In 2011, that's when you're really starting to get into internet hate and trolling and that.
It would have been kind of, I think,
kind of like the Spawn. Because like when Spawn first came out that year, it was like, so pulling up comic book films of 2007.
There we go.
Okay, we have
Jonah Hex. I'm not sure when Jonah Hex came out.
that was like 9 or 10, I think.
Okay.
So what we have is Spider-Man 3.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah.
Okay, which was a kind of movie. We won't go down that road. We had Fantastic Four 2.
Ooh.
And we
Did
had
you even wait. Okay.
Rise of the Silver Surfer.
This movie came out right about when I got married. Because I remember seeing Iron Man 2, Green Lantern, and Transformers, whatever number it was.
3.
All on the same day.
Wow, that would have been an awesome day.
That was a freaking awesome day.
And the other film was Ghost Rider. So
Ghost Rider.
put those movies, the first Ghost Rider, which for some reason I remember liking better when I watched the extended cut than the theatrical, but I have no reason. I cannot tell you why.
Which one?
The first Ghost Rider. I don't remember why when I was watching it, the extended, I was like, oh, this just felt like a better movie. But I couldn't tell you what's different between the two.
Sometimes those early 2000 Marvel movies, like, they were fun, but as you know, Marvel wasn't completely confident and knowledgeable what they were doing yet.
Exactly.
You know?
So, with all that said, looking at those films, if this movie had come out then, I think it would have been fine. It would have blended in that slate. It would have stood out, and it would be like I said, like Spawn, where at first you think Spawn's great, and years later you kind of watch it like, it's not that great. But
I don't know, man. I think people dump on Spawn a lot.
I still like Spawn for a lot of things, but it has its moments, you know. But anyways, all that to say that we are watching 2011's Green Lantern, starring Ryan Reynolds.
The greatest casting choice for a hero ever.
Now, there was rumors that originally he was cast supposed to be Wally West in a Flash movie, but then that changed.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, like it's one of those like back then, before, like you said, before we had all the social media stuff to help back us up on everything, it's all kind of like hearsay. And
Ryan would have been 2011. This movie was coming out. Ryan Reynolds might have been Wally West,
which
would have worked better.
Which is weird because wasn't 2007-ish when we should have got Justice League Mortal, and maybe that's what killed him being Flash.
Maybe because
but
it wasn't.
And then there was
what's his face? Affleck, Casey Affleck, right?
It was Flash was supposed to be Adam Brody.
Yeah,
and
sorry,
somebody
Adam
was,
Brody. Why is it
and he
Casey
was
Affleck?
supposed to be Barry, and someone else was supposed to be Wally, or he was going to be Wally. I can't remember because they were supposed to be in that movie the change from Barry to Wally. But anyways, I remember Green Lantern was announced.
Yeah,
my buddy Devin, big Green Lantern fan. He's actually the one that gave me the Green Lantern comic that's hanging on the wall there.
God bless you, Devin. Special shout out to Devin.
You guys would get along great.
Well, he's good taste.
I remember when they announced Martin Campbell as director. I was pretty stoked because he directed 2 James Bond films. And ironically, both James Bond films were good, but they were both the kickoff of a new Bond era. So he did GoldenEye.
GoldenEye and Tomorrow Never Dies.
GoldenEye and Casino Royale.
He did Casino Royale.
So he did the first Brosnan, and then he directed the first Daniel Craig.
Fantastic Bond movies.
So my faith...
What the hell happened with him?
Right. So my faith in him directing was like, okay, cool. And then, like I said, this film came out in 2011. So when this was announced...
You got married. I got married.
It was one of the first films that Jeannie and I went and saw as a married couple. We both had our Green Lantern shirts on. We had Green Lantern rings. We wore black pants or jeans to the theater. And we were pumped, And my choice for Hal Jordan, everybody wanted Nathan Fillion, which I thought was cool, was great, But at the time, Star Trek had recently just come out.
Yep.
And we hadn't got the sequel.
Even before you finish the sentence, I'm totally on the same page with you.
Chris Pine
would
have been the perfect Hal Jordan.
Amazing choice.
Because to me, Ryan Reynolds is good, but he's one of those people that just plays Ryan Reynolds.
Yes.
That's why, if you ever listen to when he was playing Hannibal King on the set of Blade Trinity, somebody said to him, "Man, I'm paraphrasing, like, you would make a great Deadpool, or you're playing this character like Deadpool." And Ryan was like, what are you talking about? And they gave him a Deadpool comic, and that's when Ryan fell in love with Deadpool. And that's basically when the fight to get the Deadpool movie started. That's why he fought to be Wade Deadpool in the X-Men Wolverine movie. You know, the Logan Origins film.
Him and Liev Schreiber were the best parts of that movie.
And I'm mad that Schreiber never came back.
Absolutely.
But in all of this, the build up to this movie, I have not watched it in a while. I don't remember the last time I watched it. And I remember it was one of those I bought and was like, okay, I'm going to buy it because I'm going to buy all the DC movies.
No, you have.
And it wasn't I think it was a first day purchase because I actually forgot it was coming out on home video. I was just at the store with my friend and we saw it and we both bought it. It was the first movie I ever got a digital copy. I remember that. Even Sayla, who's sitting here with us. Look, Sayla, stand up. Look at her shirt. Look, Sayla, stand up. No one can see this but Brian, but look who's on her shirt.
I see the Flash.
Green Lantern right there.
Green Lantern.
So Sayla's wearing a Green Lantern shirt.
Solo's wearing some type of
Solo's wearing
stormtrooper
Star
thing.
Wars.
And I'm wearing,
The Justice League, pretty much. Yep.
but I don't see Supergirl.
Yeah, because they didn't put girls on it because technically it was a boy shirt, but.
You know,
whatever.
just
I don't wear it.
sexist,
Yeah,
sexist assholes. You know.
Yeah, because boys don't want a shirt with Wonder Woman. Whatever. We won't go down that pipeline, but it's stupid. So anyways, we're back to 2011. I remember reading, okay? And I think this is a big deal, is in 2011, Warner Brothers, this was supposed to be the start of like their connective universe. They had talked about it. I don't know why. This was because they don't build anything into this movie.
Well, it might have been because, you know, Superman Returns was kind of that continuation of Reeve, if you will. You know, it still was Reeve's story, Christopher Reeve's Superman story. You know, if you want to start with Green Lantern, that actually would be a great universe.
I mean,
because you open up space, you open up, you know, the Guardians, you know, you open up a whole new world here. So Green Lantern is a good place to start.
Oh, it totally is. But I mean, like, they didn't build anything in this movie to open a universe. You know?
No, absolutely not. Like if they would have did a scene of like Tomar Ray outside of Krypton and Krypton exploding, like just a little Easter egg scene of, you know, like showing the Guardians and the Corps and what they can do, and like they're going, you know, Green Lantern to Green Lantern, and they're showing like Kilowog and all that stuff, and then we get this little scene of Tomar Ray and in that in Krypton exploding or whatever. I would have been so, and then you see this rocket go this way. Just a little teaser.
Well, originally, they wanted Henry Cavill to make a cameo in this because this was going to come out in 11. Mm-hmm. He was cast about that time because originally, Man of Steel was supposed to release in 2012. So it would have started filming at this time. So it would have been pre-production. And, you know, there's supposed to be a scene where the ring goes past him, recognizes him as Kryptonian, and passes on by. But they said no, that Man of Steel was going to be standalone because I've said it many times, that movie was never made to be the same thing. Right. It was never made to open a world up, but that was a retcon. So with that in mind, let's go in and watch Green Lantern. Now, we're watching the extended cut on Blu-ray.
Have to.
We have it paused right now at, I think, 6 or 8 seconds. Hold on. It's right when the stuff is coming up. We see the lot.
I asked you a little bit ago. What?
Hold on. We're going to pause it. 10 seconds.
10 seconds in. I asked you a little bit ago. What are the 3 movies in your life that you were so excited for and they disappointed you? In no particular order. Top 3.
Okay. First one, this is a disclaimer. I'm not counting Justice League because I knew going in that wasn't going to be the movie that I wanted because of all the behind-the-scenes stuff. I knew too much going in.
Okay.
So that's my disclaimer. Had I not known as much as I've known, that would have been up there. But, man, this is tough. This is tough. I think one was Van Helsing.
Great choice.
Because I love all the old classic Universal monster movies. And that's one of those movies that Ginny and I still watch. And I'm like, I watch it like, oh, it's always that movie like, you go back to like, maybe it's better than I remember. And you watch part like, oh, I like this. And then something happens, you're like, I don't like this. This could have been better. So there's one.
Van Helsing's a great choice.
You go. You do one. What I think.
So, I would have to say. The rebooted. Well, I guess second rebooted Fantastic Four.
I can agree with that one.
Like the one with Michael B. Jordan, whatever. I thought with that cast that there was some potential. You had Miles Teller in there. Potential. Maybe not my top three, but I'm throwing it in there. Superman Returns. I was really hyped for that.
That's one that I really enjoyed. And then, like, when I started showing it to people, like, I'm so excited. And they were, like, pointing things out. I was like, wait, you tricked me, Bryan Singer. You tricked me. I loved it at first. Because I was like, yeah. And then it's like the glass shattered, and you're like, see what you did there.
Bryan Singer, he tasks me. He tasks me. But number one movie, Green Lantern.
In a lot of ways, I think maybe Jurassic Park 3.
Okay.
Because it's another one of those that you have a really great first film. You have a really good second movie. And then
see, a lot of people don't like the second movie.
But see, at the same time, like, it's different in parts, but, like, it's based off Michael Crichton's book, so you can't really, like, argue, like, oh, this is dumb. Well, that's the story that he wrote. So with the third one, it's like, okay, we can open it up. We don't have a book for source material. We have a more open universe. But the plot of the third one is so, like, this is the type of, like, plot of, like, Jurassic Park 7, straight to DVD. A boy on a ship off the coast lands on the island. His parents charter a plane.
Costa Rica.
They charter a plane to find him with some really dumb-looking mercenaries who don't even look like they could fight in a bar brawl. It's Jurassic Park 7.
Coming this summer.
I mean, and then, like, I was pumped because, like, Alan Grant's back. So, like, that was great on the ideas. And, like, it's one of those things, like, it's directed well. Like, Joe Johnston's a very good director. So I expected a lot more. I thought, there's like one line of dialogue in that movie that if you don't hear it, you're not missing much. But if you hear it, you're disappointed because what it says, Grant states, the Spinosaurus was not on NGAN's list of dinosaurs. So, and he goes, what else were they up to? So right there, we could have a whole movie about other breeds, crossbreeding, which I feel like is where they went with the new films. So there could have been
all right. We're
so
going on
much
a tangent
more.
here about Jurassic Park.
Well, I mean, that's one of the greatest movies ever made.
It is.
I'll probably edit some of this out, but we're just talking.
So switching up. All right, in the comics, right when this movie came out, we had the return of Hal Jordan. Right about just a little bit before this movie came out. So, if you don't know the comics, basically, Hal Jordan, called the greatest Green Lantern of all time.
Yep.
Hands down.
Yep.
Okay. A little bit of a player.
Yep.
Weird relationships, which that's a story for a different time. But around the comics this time, Kyle absorbed the battery of Oa, became Ion, like all the power of basically God.
Yep.
Yeah, great storyline. Definitely read it. And he decides to create Oa again, bring the Guardians back, bring the Lanterns back, resurrect everybody, and in that resurrection, he wants to bring back Hal Jordan and separate him from the Spectre. So, I don't want to spoil everything, but basically, there's a reason why Hal Jordan went crazy. He was possessed by something other than the power battery when he became Parallax, which gets into this movie.
Well, I mean, this is kicking off. Well, not really kicking
This is
off.
right about when Hal was back in the comics as full-time Green Lantern.
Yeah, I mean, because this movie came out after Blackest Night, and came out the same year as the New 52 would come to be. So this is prime Jeff Johns writing Green Lantern, because Rebirth. Jeff Johns. I mean, looking back, that his big thing was restoring everything that DC had taken away. So bringing Hal back, bringing Barry back, and everything. So
not that there's anything wrong with Kyle or Wally.
No, but it just kind of takes them out of. So we'll get into it. We've delayed enough, but
let's start the movie. We're sorry, everybody.
We started. All right, here we go.
10 seconds in.
10 seconds
play.
in.
Warner Bros. Picture, green background. Make sure you.
Subtitles are coming on because by law
Bryan's
we can't have. By law, we cannot have the sound playing, and it cannot be picked up. And here we go, guys. Play. So first of all, awesome. I like the score. Like the Green Lantern March. I like that it's kind of a March theme. We're getting the DC logo that we've only seen, I think, 3 times in film.
I like when I like this, and I think I would like to say that Marvel might have took a little bit from that.
Now this is cool. What? I almost wish they would have introduced the idea of all the colors right here, and as they're telling it the history.
It would have been good if they would have kind of went in why willpower was the strongest.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if they would have broke down the colors, yeah.
And that's why the Guardians chose it.
Yes.
Because they only...
I never noticed that they showed the Fear Corps, the Yellow Lantern Corps symbol right there. I never noticed that.
It's been so long. Okay, so I think they should have told that whole story and then cut to Earth. I think we should have cut, and it should have been the scene of child Hal seeing his dad crash, and then the explosion of the planes what wakes him up, and then we go into Hal. And then it's after Hal crashes his plane that we get this scene.
So, even in the comics, when Hal became a Lantern, he got the ring from Admin Sur, and he was kind of on Earth a little bit as a Lantern before they called him to Oa to kind of do a stats report, whether he was a good choice.
Yeah. Because one thing is, these are pretty much no-name characters. Mm-hmm. If this had been like Abin Sur, initial apprehension of Parallax would have been something, but it's like, as a movie-going person, and I know nothing about the comics, mm-hmm. I'm here to see Ryan Reynolds be funny in a space movie. Why am I watching this? These are no-name aliens I don't care about. So I just think it would have been better to give us that history lesson a little bit more, and then cut to Earth before going back into space.
And not to mention, Parallax the villain of Parallax has a huge emotional weight to the story of Hal Jordan. Humongous emotional weight. So to start right out from Parallax, right from the get-go, like, if they would have built sequels to this, and then we have Parallax come back and possess Hal, like, there's no emotional weight.
Or, like if that's how you wanted to open the film, you should have now brought up your title card.
Right.
I think Parallax should have been to this the Phantom Menace. It should have been Parallax escapes. He's starting to spread fear. There should have been something like the battle here. Because, I mean, look, once again, we're watching the extended cut. And I have to remember that because it's been so long since I've watched this because I know this scene right here, I'm pretty sure, is part of the extended cut.
Yes.
Because I'm pretty sure in the theatrical we went to Ab and Sur, I think, after that. I'm trying to remember. But what I'm saying is, later, no spoilers here, we get Hector Hammond. I think Hammond should have been the main villain. Okay? Basically powered by Parallax.
Hammond's a good villain.
And at the end of this, it should have been they defeat Hammond. I think that most of this film should have been Hal on Earth with Hammond. And then the Corps sends Kilowog and Sinestro to find this new recruit after Abin dies. And it is there. The movie should have ended with the idea that we're going to Oa now. So part 2 would have been more of like a space odyssey. Because we would have established all the characters. We would have been a little bit more grounded before we got into the craziness of space. And the second film would have been about the betrayal of Sinestro.
Right.
And him embracing fear to fight back. And then your third film, because you could have done in the second film, introduced maybe another color. And then your third film is when Parallax arrives. After having destroyed other lanterns, destroyed other worlds, built up his fear power, that now Parallax arrives and they have to battle it. And you could have done something maybe as cool as in the opening they have a huge battle and Hal's possessed. And then the most of that film is Hal being possessed. I just think that taking like your biggest villain, other than the idea of doing like the War of Light or something for your first film, was a huge undertaking. I don't know. I'm always with my superhero movies and stuff, starting small at the beginning to really build the characters, I think works better. I hate going back to like The Dark Knight, but the idea of the first movie being more central to your hero and the second movie giving your villains more time to breathe the story works well. Security guard guy. Hal ditching school to see his dad fly.
I love how Hal's just like, hey, Dad, I'm really interested in your work. So, like, school's not important.
I mean, yeah, that's cool. It's flattering. Like, if your kid is like, yeah, I'd rather skip school and hang out with you, Dad. All right. I'm not saying I will do that in the future, but there may be a day.
Yeah, sure you will. Good old Carol.
I guess the best thing to happen out of this movie is that they met, the Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively, and fell in love and got married, and have been married for a while.
Extremely happy marriage.
So I mean, yeah, like that's awesome. I guess.
See, so that's a win-win there, Ryan.
I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole, but I'm throwing this out here right now because I don't have a lot to say about this because I don't really remember all these scenes that well. The more I think about it, with the Snyder cut, I almost wish they had just put Ryan Reynolds as Green Lantern in it and not done Martian Manhunter, because the more I think about it, it makes me more angry that Martian Manhunter was supposedly there and didn't do anything. At least with Ryan Reynolds, it would be kind of a funny thing of like, oh look, there's Green Lantern. We're gonna tie it together, kind of like a big haha Warner Brothers. Since you didn't let me do what I wanted to do, I'm gonna do this. And the more I think about it, I hate that they did the Martha Green Lantern or Martha Martian Manhunter scene.
I don't know. It creates an issue because they have this whole heart-to-heart talk, John and Lois, and then like we see Martha later. Like, is Lois ever going to ask her about that conversation? It's just, I don't know. Him posing as Martha. I don't know if I would have made that choice there, Zach.
Here. You want Harry Lennox to be Martian Manhunter? Great. He's perfect. Here's what you do. You have a scene with parademons attacking the station. They have a boom tube or something opened where you were doing some space research at Star Labs, and as the parademons are attacking, Lennox is there. He's fighting them. It pulls Martian Manhunter John to Earth, and he shows up and he helps out of just fear fight the parademons, and basically Swanwick dies in his arms. So as Swanwick is in his arms dying, John takes Swanwick's form and reads his mind, so like downloads his memories and everything.
Swanwick? What are you saying? Swanwick? It's Stanwick.
No, it's Swanwick.
Swanwick?
Yeah.
Like
SWA.
Like, stop looking at me, Swan?
So he does that.
Okay.
So now we're not retconning the character we've had in all these movies.
True.
But we're still getting Harry Lennox to be Martian Manhunter. So then when he shows up again, you have kind of this thing where now it's John pretending to be him. There you go, Zach. You can use that.
That would have been better. I mean, because when John becomes Martian Manhunter, he chose a detective that recently passed away.
Guys, children, watch this scene. Tell me how sad this would be. It's going to break your heart right here.
Oh, my dad's okay. No, he's not.
If he had just went to school that day, he wouldn't have seen that. I really feel like in a lot of ways, like, it would have been better to... The opening of this is off somehow. Like, there's got to be a different way to do it.
I would have opened right with this.
I would have opened with this, or I would have opened with, I'll probably, maybe, like, I have to sit down and, like, kind of play with the idea. I would have opened with this, maybe, and then this scene is a little bit more extended because this is the extended cut, so, like, the pacing is different here.
That's a good shot right there.
It is a very good shot of the jacket on the ground, Hal, and the rescue vehicles going to the plane. Maybe right there, if it fades to black, it just says Green Lantern.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then...
Because that's the defining moment right there. I mean, that's where Hal, like...
Then, okay, see how this is cutting back to space now to Abin Sur? Like, you could have done...
It's a bit of a mess.
What's up, Solomon? So Hal's dad, okay, was what's called a test pilot. Means he flies planes that are new to make sure they're going to work correctly. And there was something wrong with the plane. Now we got Tamara Morrison there, also Arthur's father. There's our first look at Sinestro. Perfect casting. Perfect casting of Sinestro. If anything that I'm sad about losing from this film and not moving forward, it's Mark Strong as Sinestro.
He was the best part of this. Because Mark plays it with that intensity that you need.
And yeah.
That, like... Wait a second. Did this suit just flash yellow?
It kind of did. like a hint towards what's to come. And also because Parallax is on the way, it's some cool foreshadowing there.
I almost want to rewind, but we won't do that.
Yeah, if you got it in your, grab your phone and pull it up in your digital library and be like, I think the more I think about it while we're watching this, I would cut the exposition by Tom Array at the beginning. I would just, once again...
Do you really need that?
No, because that's...
It could have just been like, Kilowog was like, this is how many we have. This is what you're a part of now.
If you think about what the dialogue is, that's the kind of dialogue that would come up in conversation when Hal first shows up. Explaining to him what the Green Lanterns are. A perfect example of telling something and then retelling like 3 times is that horrible Mummy movie with Tom Cruise. Because they really do an opening scene and then they do it again with dialogue later. What, Sayla? Cool. Solomon, do you have a question about the movie? This is Solomon's first time watching it, guys. So...
Best line in the whole movie coming.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I love this line. I use it to this day. It's the most quoted line in this movie. Hold on, Solomon. Watch.
Bar in the tap.
All right, Solomon, what's your question?
See, that's why I don't even try it anymore. I just put like gifts for your kids in the bag.
Yep. You'll see. Yep. So, I just always like the idea of Hal right there when he wakes up, because the way he wakes up, if he's waking up from the nightmare of, the idea that he wakes up from that nightmare of, the whole, his father dying was a nightmare, basically. He wakes up from that. So that's already in the back of his mind as he's going to fly this plane. Yep. So what do you think about Carol in this, Brian?
See, Blake, like, relatively early in her career here, like,
she's still Gossip Girl.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, to me, that's what like
still traveling pants.
Yeah, like I think she's okay.
See these pants off with plastic pants.
You know who I would have picked for Carol Ferris at this time? Yeah. Thinking back, hold on. Olivia Wilde. I think she's got the dark hair and like the look that I think would have been a great Carol Ferris.
See Blake wouldn't have been on my list at all.
No.
But I mean Blake's a great actress, but not on my list. Because I'm not. You're not just casting Carol. You're casting Star Sapphire.
Now, what do you think about her call sign being Star Sapphire or Sapphire?
Fantastic! It fits perfectly. It works right into it.
I do like that they updated her to where she is a pilot herself.
Because her just being a businesswoman,
it doesn't work as well. I think making her a pilot too is great. It puts her more on an even playing field with Hal, especially if they were to go in later into her getting a ring, and it updates the character wonderfully.
But her just being daddy's daughter, the chosen one to take over the company. Like, she needs more than that.
I think it's more cliche, because then you develop the conflict of she has a lot of the same sense that he has as a pilot, but then at the same time she has to look at the business end too. So it gives her internal conflict as well. Can we talk about Taika Waititi in this as an actor? Like, I always forgot that he was in this.
Pot face. Totally forgot about it.
Now, see, I understand this from what he's doing.
I mean, but one thing, like watching this and not knowing the comics, one thing that would cross my head is why would Hal take bigger risks than his dad would do? Like, seeing his dad blow up like that, why would he take higher risks?
What?
Like, I can understand going into planes, but like, why would you take more risk when you saw what happened to your dad?
Right. Why would you want to be a fighter pilot?
Yeah.
Like, you think it would have scared him out of it.
Yeah.
So it almost makes you wonder how he would have, if he had been at school that day and then just found out his dad died, and then he would be like, well, if Dad had been a better pilot, like, I'll figure out what it was, or something where he wants to prove his dad, like, it wasn't his dad's fault, or I don't know, something like that.
Or if we would have got a younger Hal and a younger Carol scene where, like, Hal was studying aviation, trying to figure out what happened to his dad or whatever, and he was just kind of like being the nerd, if you will.
Yeah, like, he was obsessed with... Because everyone, put it as a mechanical fail, or they all wrote it as pilot error. And it was like maybe a cover-up that Carol's dad was trying, because it was actually a mechanical failure.
But if Carol would have been like shown them younger, and Carol would have been like, you know what, you're the best for this. Like, you can be better than your dad ever was. Like, someone along the line gave him like this little bit of inspiration.
Yeah.
This little bit of something to overcome the fear of what happened to his dad could happen to him. That would make sense to me.
And you're speaking of overcoming fear. I mean, once again, I think Green Lantern is a character in film. And I mean, this is our only second live action Green Lantern, if you count the Justice League TV series that hardly anyone's ever saw. But
don't know. The first ever live action Green Lantern was Guy Gardner, and it was like a 1970 something.
The Legend of the Heroes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I totally forgot about that to use. But this is Hal Jordan, but an amalgamation. It's like Hal Jordan, but with hints of like the storyline of Kyle.
Where do you see Kyle in this?
Well, see, the thing is, I feel like,
I don't see
think
any Kyle in this.
Well, I see Kyle in this because Kyle's thing was about overcoming fear. Hal was supposed to be fearless. Hal was supposed to be arrogant with no fear. And Kyle's...
Well, he ain't Daredevil.
He's not Daredevil, but that was the whole point, was he didn't have fear. And he beat his fear when he was younger. Kyle's arc was about overcoming fear. and the idea that we all have fear, but to overcome it is the greatest form of will.
And Kyle's also all about, like, am I good enough for this?
And that's all in here in the story.
Yeah. The fear of failure. That's what Kyle's all about. The fear of failure.
I have a question.
Sure. Okay.
So, guys, like in Godzilla, like the failure, like in failure, and I think in the Godzilla movie, the monster will show up some more.
The monster in here comes some more?
Yeah.
All right. Well, it'll be back, buddy. Don't worry. It will return.
Back to you, Tyler, with the weather.
It's going to rain! It's Ohio. It'll change.
Just stop it.
I mean,
Put the cookie down.
it's one of those things, like, from a business. Like, so I say, like, Carol in that scene, she's like, I think she could have done a little bit better. The idea that, from a business point, Hal was wrong. From a flight point, if your object is to prove that these things can do anything, he was right. I think we should have saw Appen crash.
Absolutely.
Instead of just cutting to this scene of him already crashed.
That's weird. It's almost like the ring, like, pooped.
Yeah.
That was a weird thing.
I think there should have been more hints in this movie about the fact that there are other people on Earth that are capable of being Green Lanterns. I have a point that I'll point something out here in a little bit that I think they should have set up.
It would have been interesting to see the ring pass, like, a high school gym teacher.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. And then, in this time, yeah. And this time they would have said, they would have had Guy Gardner as like a gym teacher.
This would have been your part right here to have better dialogue about why Hal wants to be like Dad. His brother's name is Jack. So let's think about that. His brother is Jack Jordan.
Jack Jordan. Yep.
I love
Jack, Jason, Hal.
How's his name Hal? I love that he has the nephew. Like, I love the nephew. It's not his son. It's like that 1 degree off. It's his nephew who looks up to his uncle, and he worries about his uncle.
Yeah, like Solo looks up to me. Yeah.
You know, I like that, you know, because it shows a different side of Hal here when he interacts with his nephew than when he interacts with his brothers and sister or whatever.
Does Hal have a son?
No.
What? Not in this movie.
Not in this movie.
Does
Um,
that miss him?
He does in the comics at some point, right, Brian? Like, I'm trying to remember.
Not that I'm sure of, but like, Hal sleeps with so many different women.
I mean, and that's
Wouldn't be surprising.
I think that sometimes that's the problem with some of these characters when you get to bring them to like life like this. Unless you did a Green Lantern Corps movie or something, you don't want your main character to be unlikable. You know, it's kind of like, I think it would have been a cool story arc if we would have seen Steve Trevor as more of that ladies' man player that he kind of was in the comics and stuff. And we would have had a dynamic where he falls in love with Diana and she's like the first woman that doesn't fall for his crap. And he has to like build himself to be a better person.
If Steve Trevor was played by somebody else, and Chris Pine would have been Hal, you know, stuff like that.
See, that's cool. The green energy hits him while he's with his nephew, which kind of makes you think of like how he was acting, maybe that impacted part of why it chose him at that moment. Look, it's his birthday.
Wrapped it himself.
My brother and I have this thing about who can wrap the worst gifts. Hey, it's a model that is already put together on a string that I just got to hang up. Those are pretty sweet, though. I will admit, like, if you're into model planes, they're like nice setups to have things hanging in your room.
Yeah, hanging in midair is pretty dope.
I'm Hal Jordan.
Not what he says underneath.
Totally missed your super lame birthday party. Yeah, right.
You know what I like? Hal's not sitting around wearing green.
He's not sitting around wearing green?
You know, like so many times they like take the whatever the character is and like
a precursor.
When they're not their superhero or whatever, like they're wearing their colors. So it's like, oh.
I would have liked it more if they would have took him while he was in mid-flight.
Ooh.
You know, like in the comics?
Yeah. And that's why it, like, crashed or something? Like it's supposed to? Like...
Yeah, that's what happened in the comics. That's why his plane crashed, because they took him in freaking midair. Well, no, I'm sorry. There's one version in the... I think in the 90s, he's in midair. When they do Emerald Dawn.
Yeah.
But in the originals in the 60s, he's actually in like a test, like a stationary test flight thing.
Huh.
And he's testing something, but he's just kind of there. And then he takes off from it, and they're like, "Well, how the heck did this break?"
I like this that he recognizes that maybe somebody's in trouble because like he just goes. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no. He's like, "Oh, it's an alien. Oh, that's okay."
But it's an alien, but he doesn't care.
No.
You know, he's going to help him, and he's there anyways.
Get you some help. How do you feel about the Green Lantern suit?
I was getting there earlier.
Being so dang tight.
You know, I think my problem is it was completely mocap for him. Because in some scenes, like with him, with with Abin, it almost looks like he's wearing a suit. Like that shot right there. It bums me out that there wasn't like an actual suit that he wore, and then they went to like a mocap suit when he is in action. You know, like when he gets into action, like it brightens up.
I got some of this because he loves me.
Okay, well that's good of you. It bums me out because then it's kind of like when you see him, he doesn't have a costume where he's wearing a mocap suit.
Mm-hmm. So it makes me wonder, is he standing naked from a green screen the whole movie? Or?
He's just wearing a green, a gray suit with light balls on it. The other thing is the mask looks horrible. We're not there yet, but when we get there, the mask looks horrible.
Looks horrible. And
that's a friend right there. Middle of the night, get your truck. Got an alien ship. Need your help.
What the heck was I saying? Suit.
Huh.
I don't like how the ring has silver in it.
Okay.
Like in the base, and then like you see the lantern symbol, green on it. I think the whole ring should be green because it's made from the power battery. Power batteries are green. It's all willpower. Like
I agree with that.
There shouldn't be any silver because then it becomes just a special piece of jewelry. Like my Green Lantern ring here, all green.
Awesome. Green Lantern ring.
Awesome.
I don't mind like the idea the suit's made of energy. I just think you could have done it better. I don't even mind that it's supposed to be like the muscle. Like it's kind of cool in some parts, and I'll point out one part later that I actually really like the way it works.
Yeah. But I would have liked the more black in it.
Well, like some more black in it.
Yeah.
I don't like the way it looks on the feet. It's weird. Because you almost see his toes. So it doesn't look like he's actually wearing a shoe.
Yeah.
It's weird on the feet.
Yeah. Doesn't look like he's wearing anything, and that's what bugs me. And they probably marked it that way because, Ryan Reynolds he's in shape. Like, makes sense. I also like it better when the battery. Like how they handled it with Kyle was the best. Like he didn't have the battery at first. Like the government found this rock in the alley, left in the alley, or the homeless man found the rock in the alley, and the government was investigating. But
what's your question, Solomon? Okay. Yeah. So here's the Guardians.
They look horrible.
Now look at Sinestro's suit.
Well, that Guardian didn't look too bad. Yeah, I like his high collar.
I like that there's slight variations in each person's suit.
Well, it almost looks like the Guardians are wearing like a visible helmet.
Yeah, it does.
And I don't like that.
I wish they would have named the Guardians.
Yeah, which one's Ganthet?
Exactly.
Yeah. And none of the Guardians are female. They're all male. The Guardians actually leave Oa and search out another kind of like a warrior. I think it was like a warrior race of females, and they mated with them and created a new Guardian kind of chapter around that time.
Like looking at the costume, it's just weird because it has a collar, but it just stops on his neck because it is his neck. It's not like he's wearing clothes and the energy goes around those clothes. And basically, it's like the energy of what he's wearing. It's a suit made of energy, but it's like your skin. It's weird. Yes, Alma. Mm-hmm. Well, just watch. You're going to meet some cool stuff here. What do you think about Hector Hammond here?
I mean, Hector Hammond's okay villain, but I don't think he's a good enough villain to have as your villain in a movie. Like, he's okay, but
even if he's powered by parallax.
Why wouldn't even have him powered by parallax? I'd have Hal be powered by parallax later. That's how I would introduce parallax when Hal's changing, like in movie 3 or so. I don't know. There's just so much to Hal's story before Hal gets possessed by parallax. And I feel like you're doing a discredit to Hal when you introduce parallax right away.
Well, see, I don't mind how parallax exists in this movie through Hector Hammond as, the idea of something's coming. Like, the idea of...
Yeah, but I want to have it come right away.
No, it's not. What?
Oh, yeah, I forgot Waller was in this.
Yeah, we have Dr. Amanda Waller. That's weird, but the forgotten Amanda Waller. That should have been a bigger deal. When she walks in and says Waller, we should have been like, oh! But,
right.
Most of us were like, huh?
Right.
She's not a doctor.
And also why I wouldn't choose Hector is, Hector in the comics, Hector. I can't think of one really solid Hector as a villain story that you could adapt on. Where you're like, whoa, like great Lantern villains, great Hal Lantern villains. Manhunters are good. Manhunters are fantastic. You could do the Weaponers of Quard. I think I talked to you about this before. Like, to lead into Sinestro going evil, like, start with the Weaponers of Quard. Like, and do a Weaponers of Quard and Manhunter type thing.
See, I think for this film, I want a throwaway villain. That's where Hector Hammond comes in. But I want something that's going to build to something else. So I think it would have been awesome if Abin Sur was attacked and he had like Atrocitus, and then you have like Atrocitus loose on Earth, and you have, like I said, you're more Earth based. So you start to introduce like the alternate colors, or just have Atrocitus before he gets the red ring. I feel like this scene. I get what
Grundy. I mean, you're not gonna touch Alan Scott.
No.
Could have thrown in Grundy on there.
I think Hal Jordan solemnly swear to pledge allegiance to a lantern dyed purple.
He sure looks really tan in this movie, I will tell you that.
I understand what they're doing here, and I don't like it.
What don't you like? What are you talking about?
You have cut back and forth.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The creation of the hero and the villain.
It worked in Spider-Man.
It was okay in Spider-Man. I would have preferred just his scene straight and Hector's scene straight.
I don't like his eyes are changing. Because they're not turning green, they're like turning blue.
See, what I don't like is he's saying the oath, and it's timed with the scenes, so like there's that pause. You know, and because we saw the evil's might. So visually I get it, but if you listen to just the oath by itself, you're like, what?
And he created that oath. Like, it wasn't told to him. He created that oath.
Who?
Like, I'm fairly sure that he created that oath in the comics. Like, Hal created that oath. It wasn't like the traditional oath. He created it. But I think maybe they retconned it later. And
Probably
it became
did.
a traditional oath. Because, like, for instance, the Orange Lanterns, their oath is like, what's mine is mine, is mine is mine.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they wrote when Jeff Johns was doing his whole War of Light, they wrote oaths for every color.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was cool, but well, we're supposed to get a Green Lantern TV series through HBO Max, hopefully.
Oh, yes.
I wish Waller had just been Waller in this, so she had a big domineering presence and, like, the idea of, like, right there. If she would have just been Amanda Waller, they took him to Argus, and, you had something you could have, like, hinted at the Suicide Squad.
Pre-Waller days. Early days of Waller. Before she took over. For the Suicide Squad.
I mean, if you're wanting to use this to build your universe and build your movies, right there is your first little way of, you introduced Argus, Waller, and then she talks about her Task Force X program. Like, just a line of dialogue where someone could even say, I need you to sign off on these papers about approving the new recruits for Task Force X. And she just signs off, while she's doing something else.
He makes good points.
He does. So, I mean, I kind of wish this scene didn't happen right here, just because I feel like if I had just discovered a artifact from an alien and I had just put on a ring and all that, I would not want to leave my apartment. I would be more concerned about figuring out what's going on than going to get drinks with Carol.
Yep.
I feel like this could have been a scene earlier. I feel like a lot of these scenes are just out of place, and where they are and where they're pacing.
It's a total mess.
We understood that the opening just something was off.
But yes, I mean, you have an alien ring on you. Your eyes kind of like change and get possessed.
Mm-hmm.
And, hey, Carol, what's up? Everything's fine.
Hi, Sarah. So, this part can happen.
See, and that's why he should have been taken away while he was in the plane.
Yes. It should have been he having to cover up, like, what really happened out there. And there's, like, Ferris has evidence that something happened. They alerted the government, so then you have government agents more sniffing around Ferris.
Would have been way more interesting. Why are these guys after him?
Well, these guys are mad because they lost their jobs. Because, there's that quick dialogue about because of what Howe did, Ferris had to cut a bunch of their employees because they lost the contract. So now they're roughing up Howe because he made them all lose their job, which I think if you were making him more of a selfish character where he doesn't really consider anyone else.
Which is more along the lines of a Hal Jordan.
Right. This scene would work better. But this is one of those, if you look at all the writers on the script for this, there was an idea that was altered, that was changed. I mean, there's like 5 writers on this or something. Okay.
Now, it's not good that the first time he uses his ability, that's people that know him.
Right.
Like, how are you going to save your frickin' identity?
And then, like, this right here. So,
yeah.
Let me just run you on the writers on this, okay? And right now, when I tell you the names, you will know that, there was studio stuff because you'll recognize that they can do better, okay?
Yeah.
Michael Green, screenplay and screen story.
Okay.
Michael Goldenberg, screenplay. Mark Guggenheim, screen story and screenplay. Greg Berlanti, screenplay. And then Jeff Johns is credited. So
when you have Berlanti and Johns, good God.
You know that they were doing something and that studio got involved with, even with Guggenheim. Because even though, there's things he's not a great person or whatever, they went on, Berlanti after this. So this was 11. So this is the year before Arrow. Yeah. Arrow started in 12 because also in 11 is when Smallville ended. So we know like Berlanti had an interest in DC, and he went.
This scene's good. I don't mean to interrupt you, but they handled this well. Of like him flying off the Oa, they handled this good. But he shouldn't have stayed on Oa. Like, it's totally okay that they had him go to Oa and, like, kind of get, like, a little Guardian review, if you will. But he shouldn't have stayed on Oa. Like, maybe the movie should have ended like this.
And that's what I'm saying.
Like they're shipping him off to Oa to kind of get a review of what happened.
The thing is, you can make a comic book movie. And we, as people who know the story, sometimes forget that these movies a lot of times are made as introductories and general audience films. Because you can get so lost in your comic lore without realizing it. And I think in some ways, this movie, if you would have made it more about a human on Earth who gets in touch with an alien to introduce us to the character and concepts, and then the second movie is your crazy space adventure.
Well, this right here is kind of right out of Emerald Dawn, after the post-crisis reboot of HAL. Right here. But what they do is they kind of take his consciousness out of his body and transport his consciousness to Oa, and they leave his body on Earth.
See, that's cool.
And then they tell him that you will not remember this meeting.
See, that's cool looking.
Like they kind of give him like this whole review or whatever, and then they transport him back to Earth, and he remembers nothing of meeting the Guardians until the Guardians get further. I hate the mask. They get further time to review him if he's worthy. I don't know what that is.
It's her plane. See, okay. So the top doesn't look bad, but look at the bottom, like the boots. And like this, how he pulls his skin.
I do not like
the
that.
Costume, like... I do not like the mask. They should have made it above the nose and not come down on the nose, because that just looks weird. So... Go tell your sisters. Freaking stop, Salem. See, I love Tom Array. And I like how his suit is different.
Okay, there is a bit of black in there. Never mind. There's a little bit of black in there. But yeah, I like how everybody's suit's different. Everybody's suit reflects them.
Yeah, it reflects their skin, and
Yeah.
I like that. But I wish it was more like clothes instead of just being like their skin. Almost like, could you imagine like a Green Lantern suit kind of in the vein of like the Man of Steel suit? Like where it's that kind of tight webbing, but then you have like the energy, like the CG over top of it glowing, and like you have the floating symbol.
I like the floating symbol that Snyder did. It looks good.
You know, his mask looks... He looks better without his mask, you know? Come on down, Solomon. See, they look cool. Like...
Yeah, they look good there. Once you get to the waist down, it falls apart.
I said part of it's because, like, the boot... The bottom doesn't make sense because it doesn't... I'd almost wish they would have done, like, just solid black down or something. Because to put the green back in it, it kind of looks weird as it not actually being shoes.
This is all you needed.
Exactly. So I'm saying it's like they doubled up the exposition.
Yeah, this is all you really needed. We're going to fly?
Absolutely. I thought the casting of Jeffrey Rush as Tom Array was... At first I was like, huh? But then like hearing him, I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
See, they did this right. It should become completely natural for him because he's a flyer.
And I just think this would have been great if all this was on Earth. I think as soon as he got the ring and he touched the battery, If you were going to bring him to Oa, you should have taken him right there. He shouldn't have had the time to go to the bar.
Have you read Emerald Dawn?
It has been a long time.
Read Emerald Dawn. Emerald Dawn would have been cookie cutter perfect for this. Perfect. Because you get just enough of Sinestro. Hal's an alcoholic. Like Hal causes a car accident that puts his brother in the hospital. Causes him a whole lot of grief.
But I think the problem is when you're introducing a character to general audiences like that. I mean, just look at the climate. You don't want your heroes to have problems. We don't want them to have issues. Like the issues they're supposed to have that we read about in the stories, they kind of lightly touch on. I mean,
but don't you want some redemption?
You do, but I mean, look at how they present other heroes in other movies and stuff. Like Tony Stark was supposed to be an alcoholic womanizer, and they completely toned that down. That after the first movie, he's like with Pepper, and that's it. You know? So you can't have your hero be too much because you have to make them likable.
It's cool if Sinestro comes down.
I mean, it's different, I think, in longer storytelling. If you're doing a series compared to just a movie. Okay.
Ryan, for this question, why we need a Green Lantern human? And everyone's the older guy. Yes.
He asked, why do we need a Green Lantern
we
human?
do need one.
A human Green Lantern?
Yeah, he says we do need one.
Absolutely.
See, I mean, I think right here, like you could have cut away with him and Tom Array and done that scene that he was talking about, seeing Green Lanterns lose to Parallax. And then had him like return, or him just learn about, or something like that. Kilowog. You'll see in just a moment. Yes. See, that's cool. I would be in so much trouble if I was a lantern, like a Green Lantern.
You'd just be like Kyle.
My constructs would be awesome, but they would be highly inappropriate.
You need to read Early Days of Kyle. And pretty much every one of his constructs is a big-breasted girl with a fine ass.
See, I like that. How you see it, like, the power, like, coming from the chest, like it's surging through. No, watch. But you know what I'm saying? Like how you see it like ripple through the muscle. There's Kilowog.
That's
with the perfect casting.
Perfect.
Like I know that
Perfect
it's
voice
mocap and everything, which is great, but I've always said Michael Clarke Duncan been perfect. So he's the other thing about this movie that I think is awesome that I hate that Michael Clarke has passed on.
I have another question.
Yeah.
For you, Brian.
Sure.
Brian.
Kilowog's my favorite. What do you want?
Said that he walked up to Hal Jordan. He'd be like, Kilowog.
I almost wish they just would have used this model right here in the Snyder Cut for when they tease Kilowog's death.
See, I love that. You know, your contracts are only strong as your will. And, like, he has that little steel beam dropping the rock, and Kilowog's like, all right, let me drop another rock on that. I love that.
I love this scene. I just love, like, the creation of the constructs. No, Kilowog's a good guy. He's a really good guy. He's trying to teach how to use his ring, how they work, how to be a lantern.
Ooh. So if you were to ask me who's the greatest Green Lantern of all,
You'd pick Kyle.
Kilowog.
Oh, okay. All right. I can get behind that.
The greatest human Green Lantern, or the greatest Green Lantern of Earth, Kyle Rayner.
Yep. Which character in DC Comics there's been too many of? Green Lanterns.
There's been too many of.
We have, without saying names, eight if you count Alan Scott, 9 if you count what's it like the new one, Teen Lantern or whatever, that's in the comics now. So there's 9 people that are human Earthling Green Lanterns.
Okay, hold on.
I like the sword battle. That's cool.
But can you count Alan?
That's what I'm saying. If you count Alan Scott.
Because Alan was never a member of the Corps.
No, but they kind of tried to retcon him into being, like... So, I mean, if you don't count him, that's fine. But if you do count him, it's still...
So you got Hal, John, Guy.
Yep.
Can you count Jade? Because Jade's half human. Well, yeah, Jade's human.
Yes.
I would count Jade.
Yes, he's teaching how to. Now look at Sinestro's feet. It looks like he's just black boots, by the way.
I would count Jade is human.
Okay, so if you count
That's
Jade,
Alan's daughter.
So that means you have to count Alan then.
But you can't count Alan. Because Kyle gives Jade a ring.
Alright.
But is she ever officially a Corps member? I can't remember.
But I just said the Green Lantern. I didn't say Green Lantern Corps.
Oh, okay. Then, yeah, okay, Alan. Then you have to go Alan, Hal, Guy, John, Jade, I said Kyle, didn't I?
Yeah. Simon, Jessica. And then Teen Lantern.
Teen Lantern, yeah.
She's in the comics now.
Do you want to count? Do you count Bruce Wayne?
No, because he was never technically a Green Lantern. I mean, he was a Yellow Lantern during the Darkest Nights, and Barry was a Blue Lantern. He embodied all colors.
It's kind of like when I think Mark Waid. Well, now that there's all these Green Lanterns, Mark Waid made a lot of Flashes.
And that's why, like, I think sometimes I get tired of, like, speedsters. Like, even though in the comics, like, this is a great speedster, I'm like, okay, but I'm just get tired, like, because once everyone, like, I mean, think how many speedsters have been on the Flash series, both good and bad.
And they haven't even hit Johnny Quick, Max Mercury, Impulse. They're going to hit.
Daddy,
What, buddy?
what's your guys' favorite boss? Straight up.
Oh, you'll see. My favorite boss?
Monster.
Oh, monster movie? We'll talk about it later, buddy.
Bryan?
I almost feel like we should have gotten, like, this as, like, our introduction to Hector. Like, him teaching, instead of them showing up to his apartment like they did. They should have pulled him out of class. Because I feel like showing him as a teacher really helps understand who he is a little bit more.
Yeah.
Just flip it. Have him have his first freak out or whatever at his apartment, kind of, and then they pulled him out of class, and everything. What would have been kind of neat is that they would have made him to Parallax the way Renfield is to Dracula, almost. Where he's like hearing his master's voice in his call, and he starts doing things almost to prepare the way.
Making him like a Renfield?
Yeah.
As long as he gets that weird cackle, like,
if your framing is to build to Parallax, like we talked about, you have the idea that Parallax is free, he's in the background, he's conquering the galaxy, he's coming. He is powered by yellow. You'll see. Would be neat. Instead of just having him show up here. Because in all honesty, I don't really find Hector that interesting. And
that's why I wouldn't have chosen him.
And I'm okay with not finding the villain interesting if they serve more of a purpose to build to just giving our hero more time. Our hero has someone to fight and battle, but at the same time, I feel like there was too much trying to do with Hammond, almost like a love triangle thing of Hammond, Ferris, and Hal. I almost would have preferred Hammond to be like a weirdo, but like rich.
Well, it kind of would have been good if Carol admired Hector's intelligence and maybe business savvy. Maybe he could have been a little bit more of the intelligence and Ferris aircraft or something, and Hal was the dude that was reckless and more charismatic. Yeah, so she wished that Hal had the responsibility of the Hector, but she wished that Hector had the manhood
of Hal.
That Hal. Yeah.
I mean, it's underdeveloped. Tim Robbins, man. One of those actors you're just like, oh, it pops up and stuff. And you're like, do I like him? Do I not like him?
Honestly, other than this and Shawshank, I mean, you tend to forget what stuff he's into.
Was it Mystic River? I think was the other thing I liked him in. Look, it's Parallax. Look at the lanterns doing battle with Parallax. See, so Parallax, Solomon, look how many lanterns he's fighting. And he is completely made of fear. And I mean, this scene right here is just one of those that, did we need the exposition of Sinestro talking about people who were fighting Parallax before this, when he's going ahead and right now telling the whole Guardian Council that Parallax, is destroying lanterns. This... Look, so Solomon, check this out, okay? Look, they're talking about how a guardian went and became Parallax. I mean, the idea that Parallax was a guardian would have been a great revelation, like in a third movie, with the idea of like the overarching villain.
Is there even a bad guy? Is there like a remnant? What is that run from?
Atrocitus?
Is there a spot?
No.
If they make a Green Lantern number 2, get it. It's wrong. It's wrong. In this room, it's wrong.
It's interesting that he's talking about the idea of a yellow ring and forging a yellow ring, and they already have a yellow power battery. It's just, Too bad this wasn't the damn band, but whatever. It's cool. Senator. How at a party. Hector. Worst pilot. I feel like, the senator here could be just that classic cliche of the senator looks at Hal more as a son because he's everything that he wishes his son was. That could have been cool. Of course, there's Hal flirting with Carol. Huh. I kind of wish this scene had come earlier in the film. We would have been introduced to all these characters. This could have been a very interesting opening to the movie. If we would have had a scene like this. Man, I really feel like this movie has all the pieces. The scenes are like out of order. Like the pacing would have been really. We haven't really got our big mid-film action sequence. Like in here should have been a big action sequence. Hector. Like he's. He should have been drunker. He's telling about the alien body. I don't know. Could have been better. Look, helicopter. I feel like helicopters and accidents are big superhero tropes. Superman has to save a helicopter. Green Lantern has to save a helicopter. Batman's never saved a helicopter, but that's cool because that's how it should be.
Superman saved Lois Lane in a helicopter.
I mean, it's a hero trope. I was sitting there thinking, like, I really wish they
had a helicopter.
I mean, yeah, of course. They had done that. The revelation that Parallax was a Guardian in a third film, or later. Like, this movie has all the right ingredients, completely out of order.
Yeah, right. Like they have. I mean, what was the name of the dude in Angels of the Outfield? I don't know. They have the voice of the angels here. Like, there's so much potential in here. So, everybody's freaking out. Helicopter's going to get her. Oh, Hal puts the race car on it. Because that makes sense. Then puts it on a track. So this is where the CGI for the constructs just kind of like gets a little weird looking. Especially on that racetrack. Well, the car looks okay. But still. See, this is where we see the kind of the cool potential of what Green Lantern can do. But his dang eyes. Why does he have blue eyes? Why? It kind of makes you wonder if they really should have started with Hal as Green Lantern in the movie. I don't know. The lantern symbol on the chest looks good with the flame and the light. But, like, the collar's too high for Hal. The eyes and mask look so weird. Making his eyes blue, really, really weird. I would have been okay with white. I don't know. And just to have your first public appearance in Green Lantern, like, should it have been that small? Should have been bigger. I don't know. And then the problem kind of goes into, is Hector a big enough threat on his own? Like right here, this scene looks freaking terrifying. But then you get the Parallax with the head and the clouds, and it looks freaking ridiculous.
Yes.
Like, Parallax looks freaking ridiculous. And then the question is, like, this change for Hector is supposed to be increasing his brain. Like, he looks good. He looks comic accurate how he's supposed to. But then you cut to Parallax, who in the comics is this giant freaking yellow bug, like praying mantis evil thing that looks terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
It would look freaking awesome in a second movie, like all more into space. But him just having this like big giant cloud, like head, like guardian head stuff, it just looks weird, man. Like, it doesn't look scary. It doesn't look menacing. It doesn't look like a threat. It looks ridiculous.
If it's fear,
sure,
it would be cool if it was just a yellow cloud mist that only took a form when it came in contact with someone as their greatest fear.
Yeah. And that's where if you would have built to a big crossover movie of Blackest Night, and you show Scarecrow, like that would have been cool.
Well, if this is going to be your connective, I always love this scene just because it's fun. But do you think that Blackest Night would have worked as a film?
No, that's a two-part film. Yes,
but as a live-action film, do you think you could do Blackest Night?
No, as one film.
Even then, I'm just saying live action. I don't think you could do it. It's too scary. No matter what,
yeah.
Like, you can't do it as a live action. You know, you can't do like zombies. And you could do it. You could do it on HBO. Like if you were going to do the Green Lantern series on HBO Max, you could probably get away with doing
that'd be really cool.
A Blackest Night. See, I always like that. But look right there.
Yep.
You can clearly see how the boot things are. That really kills it for me. If they just would have made him solid black, I think I would have liked it a lot better. You know, I think it just would have worked better.
Don't they always get the girl? Okay, let me throw this your way. Now that Toki Wakiki
Taika Waititi.
Taka,
I got food in my mouth.
Sakatumi.
Taika Waititi.
Taka not gonna work here anymore. No, what is his real name? I can never say it right. Taka Waititi.
Taika Waititi.
Taika Waititi. So now that Waititi did Thor 3, and he's going to do Thor 4. What if you gave him a live action Green Lantern movie?
I mean, I think he's a good director. I think he has all the skills he would need. I think looking at it's kind of like, you know, if you gave him Green Lantern, it would look probably similar to his Thor. Just like the Suicide Squad looks similar to Guardians. I love this. Just the mask where she just points out, like, yeah, I know it's you. Okay? Like, no.
I hate those eyes.
The mask is not cool.
But it's a hard mask to perfect, man. No one else has a mask like that.
If you were doing Green Lantern live action like this, the mask should have been practical. It should have been a practical application that's applied kind of like the way they did like the Chris O'Donnell Robin mask. Over there you can't see because it's dark on the poster. But like, you know, you use the glue, put the mask, and then you just enhance it with CG to make the green glow. But it should have been practical. I mean, nothing else he has on is practical.
No. Ooh.
And I mean, it's so crazy because, like,
okay,
this is such early.
So you don't know this. That's a Kyle Rayner Easter egg. Right there.
And you asked me how Kyle fits into this.
Hey, shut up. Well, I just noticed it. So, when Kyle Rayner is dating Donna Troy in the comics.
Nice.
Excellent choice. But she's starting to doubt whether the relationship is real and whether he cares for her is real. So he makes her a necklace out of the energy. And it's a little heart necklace. And he says to her that as long as, you know, this is as long as I focus, you know, as long as you can tell that my focus is on you because this is real.
Because he would have to constantly be focusing to keep the
Yes.
construct alive.
Yes.
So yeah, that's cool. That's
So
smooth.
like that lets her know that his focus is on her, that their relationship is real.
Some smooth stuff.
It was smooth.
I think also, like, a
Oh,
problem,
no, he just took it away already.
I think another problem is, you know, this is 2011, like mocap suiting. Now they've perfected it so much that, I mean, if anybody, Marvel is the master of blending mocap and real suits, and you don't even know it in certain scenes. Like some of the behind-the-scenes shots of Civil War, where parts of Black Panther's suit were CG. Like his elbows and stuff like this were like CG.
Yes.
And Spider-Man as well. And you're like, huh. You know, like I never would have thought of that.
Like Spider-Man's eyes.
See, that makes sense to me. But it's
But
one
it
of those,
looks so good.
you know, it's like you look at Iron Man, you know. Okay, that's CG. Okay, cool. You know, I'm good with that. But then you have, like you said, the stuff that you're like, you're not sure of. And you're like, oh, dang. You good, Marvel. You good with that. I feel like Hector got, like, gross looking too fast.
I feel like he looks like James would look if he was intelligent.
It's like he gets stripped of his beauty and power. I feel like this scene right here would be your perfect time to drop your Task Force X line. Like right here, if she had walked in about like and told those guys like, get him, I want him for my Task Force X or something, would have been such an easy way of like just. Because now in this scene, like she feels more Waller. She has dudes with guns around her, you know, that look. And here comes Hector looking like creepy. All the stuff to be scared of. This is what we're freaked out by. This dude. Yeah, he just looks. And then there's his dad, like, son, what is wrong with you? I don't know, Dad. We know everything. This is one of those movies that's just like, there's so much good in it, but so much that could have been better.
I'm with you. I just feel like scenes are out of place. It's not paced well.
It's almost disjointed. And after taking classes on editing and screenwriting and stuff, and the harshness that some of the teachers are about working and what you turn in, and then you're like, then this makes it into a Hollywood production, like a big tentpole film, like with all these like editing inconsistencies and story beats being off, and you're gonna grill me over these as a student trying to learn how to do stuff?
Yeah, right. Right.
Keep him under. I feel like we should watch First Flight again.
Whoa.
Ow.
Now we're talking.
I feel like in a way there's too many characters in this. You're introducing too many subplots and little story beats.
I think if you wouldn't have showed Parallax and the big cloud with the big head looking all weird, then Hector wouldn't have seemed no weird. Because right now he's kind of a badass right now.
Yeah. Or, I mean, if you just been like, we see something, maybe it didn't reflect yellow as much, come off Avensur or whatever, and then they find out, I don't know, at the end or something.
So how do you know to go there?
I think the ring sensed. That's why the ring was pulsating.
Didn't explain it well.
No. There's a lot to be said in any story when you give a character who's been picked on their whole life, who all of a sudden has power, and what they're willing to do to keep that power. And that's, part of Hammond's story.
Peter Parker was picked on.
Yeah.
He got power. He became a hero.
Right, because of the guidance and the people. He wasn't picked on by the figures and stuff that he looked up to. Hector was tortured by his father and picked on and everything. Peter, even though he was picked on at school, he had Uncle Ben, who was that positive influence. And of course, like, the power that he has is definitely possessing and alters his brain some too. I love how the memories he accesses of Hal's are like just recent things that have happened in the movie.
Yeah.
It's nothing like from earlier in life, like he did with Waller. He's like, Hal, what happened the past 12 hours?
Also, this like childhood friendship thing, it just doesn't work. They don't do it well.
No.
Like, he says, oh, look, look how we're so, different, or how we ended up. Like, there was really no interaction with him whatsoever. Like, we don't see any of that. So it doesn't work. This story that you're trying to tell, of one nerd, one jock, growing up, kind of fall in love with the same woman, it doesn't work because they don't build any of that.
No, there are way too many.
Like, look how horrible Parallax looks. Like, look at that. Like, what the heck?
I feel like they should have figured out if they wanted Parallax to be up front, or if they wanted Parallax to be more like the threat coming, because man, I want to read the original script to this. Like, I really, really do, because I feel like the first draft or whatever this story was something completely different. There's so many elements in here that are one thing, and it just right here. Hear about his whole fear thing.
Here we go.
Now,
wow, character development? What?
Yeah. If I, that would have been really great if, like, I mean, I guess we are shown and try to be told, like, he's not afraid of anything. So when he says this, it should be a big moment of, like, I like how we have Team Lantern here. So we have Team Green Lantern here. He's already forming his whole backbone team. You know? Carol's like, no, we are Green Lantern. That's never going to get old, and gosh, they have made
Fly, Hal, fly.
Dude, okay. I'm going to go on a little quick tangent. Was it Arrow Season 3? The best storyline they could have done was they should have introduced Hal Jordan. And what they should have done was, because in that season of Arrows when Oliver was like off the island and stuff, it should have been Oliver meets Hal when Hal's younger as a test pilot, and it should have been meeting them as friends. And then in the modern time, Barry should have met Hal as a Green Lantern. And then, so when they got together, you have this buddy history, because those three are supposed to be best friends.
Yes.
So I'm like, that would have been really awesome if you would have had this Hal Jordan storyline, pre-Green Lantern, and flashbacks of Arrow, and then Green Lantern appearing on The Flash. It's very interesting that they forged one ring. And it's the Guardians that forge it with the idea of fighting fear with fear.
I totally missed that. I was a little distracted.
See, this is weird. Like, why is he back? Like, why did he come back to Oa? Like he's going back and forth. He should have, like, went one time, came back to Earth. Not back and forth, back and forth.
See, this is just one where there are good bits and pieces of this. Like, in his speech here. Like, about why humans are worth it. And the Guardians would never have chose fear. Never. Like, have the Guardians ever, like, said, hey, let's use fear, let's use something different? Like, they didn't know really how to govern the universe when they chose Manhunters.
No,
but that's where the Manhunter thing would have worked well.
Or, I mean, this could have been more of like where they talk about forging a ring, and this is where you learn that Parallax was a Guardian, and you could have just had Sinestro make it himself. You know?
Yeah. Or Sinestro.
Yeah.
Or there's a big reveal at the end of this that Sinestro was meeting with the Weaponers of Quard to fight this.
I mean,
like, Parallax is coming. Abin Sur dies. Like, we don't see Parallax. Abin Sur dies. And the Guardians are a little afraid. Like, he was our best Lantern.
Yeah.
Do we put our faith in this human? We never. Why would the ring choose a human? Can we trust them? We never used them before. So the Guardians bring in the Manhunters, their HN task force, and said maybe we made a mistake with these Corps. Maybe the Corps can't handle this. Bring in the Manhunters.
But see, I think that's too heavy for a first film, because you got to think like you're introducing people to this world. But I mean, like, that's the difference between like writing a comic and writing a film. Like, your comic has a specific type of audience. A film you want to make as a general. If you're going into all that layers, that's a lot to take in for what should be just
a lot to take in.
You know, but at the same time, you're not wrong. Like, I think if there was something where they're like, the ring only chose a human because that was the closest thing to it. And there's, like, more things said towards how, like, you know. And then here, like, he's literally crippling by fear. His body is crippling itself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's just going quick. Like, his decline is... It's quick. Do we really need the idea that Hector is in love with her or whatever? Like, do we really need that to this story? Like, is that that's just added on? It's like you're compounding so many layers, but nothing feels like it's working.
But what would be the motivation to take down Green Lantern, you know?
All you have to do is you have Hector, who already has a beef with Hal because his dad loves Hal. Hal is the son that his dad wishes he had. And then Hector is already jealous of that. He gets the fear entity.
You go. That's all you need.
He gets the fear entity inside of him that just makes that grow and possesses him and, like, twists him. And then when he finds out the next layer that Hal is Green Lantern, it takes him even more to the extreme. And what you could have done is you could have had him maintaining some sort of more humanoid look. But then when he finds out that Hal is a Green Lantern, he loses it, and that's what helps. He expands, like, his anger, his fear expands, and that's what causes his more physical deformity. It's the take shape. Since we're talking about these colors, which is all emotion, let's bring emotion into the outcome of the colors.
Then Carol starts glowing pink with love.
It would have been interesting, like I said, if they just would have touched on in some sort of dialogue or exposition about all the colors. And then in this, they talk about they chose Will, like you said, why they chose Will, why they chose the green entity of Will.
He shouldn't be able to put it on. He shouldn't be able to put it on.
No, he shouldn't be able to put it on at all, especially having the yellow inside of him.
Mm-hmm.
He shouldn't have been able to even do that.
Nope.
Unless Hal can't remote control it. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. He couldn't allow Hector to use it.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like...
That's what should have happened from the get-go.
See, I don't think he should have been afraid here. He should have been almost welcoming, like it's welcoming his master.
Right, because part's in him.
Because yeah, it's like part of.
You have failed this city.
What? You know, after we had the reveal of how Parallax was created, it could have been neat of actually seeing its true face. But once again, we're also looking at this with the minds. Like, what would we have said, you think, when this first came out? You know, we've had 10 years now since then. Gosh, it's crazy to think this is 10 years old.
Yeah.
This is 10 years old.
This is 10 years old.
And just thinking about, we're 10 years removed from this, and all the superhero comic book stuff we've had since then, and I like that she at least does something, firing the missiles. Like, they're not trying to make her completely helpless.
And she takes the ring, throws it at him.
You know one thing that makes me mad about this movie?
Oh, there's only one thing?
Yeah. One thing I haven't said yet that makes me mad about this movie? Yeah. See? What do you think? You like it?
Yeah, but where's the mask?
It'll probably be there in a minute.
Do you have to see the mask?
Yep, just watch. Unbeatable. And I'm going to hold back that comment just because I'm wondering if they included something that was, since it's been a while since I've watched this cut, I might be mixing it up with something, so we will see. That was really bad green screen right there. So it makes you think that that's an extra scene they added they just didn't finish or something. Could definitely use another pass or two by the old...
this is how we'll make it extended.
rendering. I think you know what would make this better instead of like this? If it just came in like a fog, and as it just came through, like it came on the ground, like lifted up, and as it lifted up...
Oh, so like Galactus and Rise of the Silver Surfer? You know, that perfect interpretation of Galactus.
But I'm saying, like, you know, if Parallax is a cloud, it comes into the ground like a fog and lifts up. So then as it lifts up, people's eyes just turn. And they start screaming as they're seeing their fear. And then as it just, like, kind of rolls by, it pulls their out of them.
You know, but that fear gas entity, I kind of feel like I saw it in a movie once, maybe 6 years earlier than this movie. I don't know, involving Batman.
It really wasn't an entity. No.
Fear's tearing the city apart.
That was just fear gas. We're talking about the entity made completely of fear.
Well, these crunch trucks are cool.
I think they should have just made his eyes white.
I agree. This blue is just so weird.
See, like I said, like I like the surge look.
Oh, snap!
Like, that was my comment. I was like, trying to remember if he did it again, because I was mad he hadn't done the oath again, and I wish we would have gotten, like, one really good time, instead of, like, the, like, quiet whisper. Like, here it made sense, because it was like a rise. But I would have liked, you know, like in the Justice League cartoon series, when Jon Stewart does, he's like basically like, in brightest day,
in blackest night.
Like he is power calling when he does it. We did earlier. Just watch, Taylor. I mean, this is cool right here, of him like chasing him in space.
Sailor, don't get used to that.
I mean, this makes sense, like, as a construct for him, Jets.
Yeah, it's definitely a construct that makes sense.
And the giant fist was pretty sweet. It works. This was fun, like scenes like this to see on the big screen.
He doesn't have a shield on, you know. But okay.
Yep. Tom Ray. Look, Sailor. What would have been cool here is if you would have had earlier Sinestro was being hailed as like the greatest Green Lantern, and then now like at the end everyone starts cheering for Hal Jordan. He's like upset, and he's like,
you know, and watching this, like, you have Marstrong as Sinestro, like, such an excellent choice, but he's really not in it much. He's in this whole movie maybe 10 minutes if that.
Oh, it should have totally been a. There should have been more. It should have been about building the friendship between these two, so that you would have built Sinestro up for the betrayal in the second film.
Yeah, or at least some bit of respect. You know.
I think it'd been kind of cool if we would have got like a lantern funeral for Abin.
Yeah, that would have been good to see.
That was cool. How he just put it on and it was energetic. Hold on. See, I like the idea that I'll be away for a while, like he's going off to train.
Yeah.
You know, he's going off to learn. And like right here, like as he's talking to her, it would have been neat as they're talking, you had Tom Ray or you had Kilowog and Sinestro like descend, so that she experiences like the other lanterns, like. I like this shot, the way he looks right here flying up.
I kind of feel like that line should have been the opening line.
Yeah. if you're gonna frame it like that, yeah. So directed by Martin Campbell.
Yeah, it's too many people in the movie.
If when you start having that many people on there, and I'll bet you money that Jeff Johns did some uncredited rewrites or something on this. Just think at the time he wasn't like Jeff Johns movie guy, like he became TV guy he started to become.
So do you feel satisfied?
I
do you
don't.
feel that
I mean,
that was the greatest Green Lantern movie ever made?
No. I mean, okay. First of all, if I would just want to watch this, like, okay, we'll use my mom for example. My mom likes sci-fi. She's liked comic book stuff in the past, even things that we've watched that she don't know about. She went to watch this and couldn't get into it and stopped it and just was like kind of bored with it. And I get it because there's so much just off in the pacing and storytelling that then you have someone who is super well versed in the comics. You'll appreciate stuff and be excited, but you're still kind of like, man, and it just kind of sucks. Like if Green Lantern, that's your favorite, like this is your film, and you're just kind of like, man, like you just
it hurts. It stings. It stings bad.
And it just like you watch it and you're just like, oh, you could have been so much more. See, I like that title card a lot. Like, I just think it looks better.
There's a cutscene.
Yes, there is a cutscene. Watch. I think instead of him breaking it out here, it should have been him making it. And I think what they could have done with a sequel is basically make the yellow ring like a drug. Where he starts out putting it on here and there, and then he wants it. He can't take it off. He needs it. And it starts to control him and possess him. And then, basically at the end of the second film would be Sinestro fighting Hal. That would be... So that is the end of Green Lantern. Do I think it deserved a sequel? Yeah. I think they've given sequels to lesser films.
Yeah, they have.
But looking at WB at the time, with the fact that the next year after this is the end of the Nolan trilogy, they're ready to try to start chasing Marvel, and then, they have Man of Steel down the pipeline. I kind of sense that's why they didn't choose to go anywhere with this.
Oh no, I think there was just so much backlash of just how fans like me were like, "Oh, this is what you gave me."
Yeah, this is my movie.
We had such amazing stories like Rebirth and Emerald Dawn, Emerald Twilight.
The fact that you're pumped because you have a Hollywood budget for a movie that you know that's going to be effects heavy,
and we know Ryan Reynolds was like funny. Like,
star power,
Van Wilder type stuff. You see potential, and like you saw how like great the core was cast.
Yeah,
Michael Clark Duncan, Kilowog. You're like, man, maybe it'll be like a whole core movie, and like they'll all face something, and
then you're like,
and then this is what you get,
and you're just kind of like, and I think okay, so let's look at it like through this prism.
Sure.
You're Warner Brothers. You did Batman Begins. Then you did Superman Returns. You did The Dark Knight. Now you're doing...
It's like you're going back and forth.
And you're doing Green Lantern.
Yeah.
And I've always kind of headcanoned in my mind that Green Lantern and Superman Returns live on the same Earth. They just feel like they would fit together.
Whatever you have to tell yourself.
You know what I'm saying? Because like, I feel like I don't want them to feel alone. So I just kind of put them on the same Earth. Because I feel like tonally they work together. And so then you're thinking, well, man, we're really winning with Nolan.
Yeah.
Like next year, we're going to release the third Nolan film of his trilogy. And then Nolan's producing our new Superman movie. So now we're going to get Superman in the Nolan style. We need to stick to this. This needs to be our thing.
Why? Yeah. Why would you change that?
Because like right now we haven't got the MCU.
Yep.
as powerful. Like, we're 1 year away from Avengers. So you try to think about when this was in production and stuff was going on, not when it was released. So we're 1 year away from Avengers.
Which cemented it. Which cemented Marvel as king.
You know, and that's before, because Avengers was when it all came under one house, basically.
Yeah.
Because if you remember right, Paramount did Iron Man and Iron Man 2, and Thor. Universal had Hulk, and who distributed Cap? Oh, was it Paramount? I don't think so. I don't remember. But after Avengers, it was all Disney owned.
Yeah.
Except for the Hulk thing. But so you think that, you know, the suits are like, we're winning with this Nolan-isms. We'll do our Man of Steel. And then they were probably like, in editing, I've said it a million times. Man of Steel was not made to build the universe. There's nothing in that film to build the universe up. And if anyone argues there's the Wayne satellite, that's called post-production on a computer.
Sure.
That's what it was.
But Henry Cavill's Superman could have absolutely existed in the same universe as Christian Bale Batman.
He could have. But, you know, at that time, that came down to Nolan, you know, producing Superman, not wanting his, like, he ended his story. That was his thing. Like,
sure.
I'm ending my story. This is it. This is how I want to do this.
The money talks.
Money does
so
talk.
I was wondering, Warner Brothers, here you go. Here's another bathtub full of cash. I would have done anything. Like Disney can bank on Favreau right now. Everything that Favreau touches for them is freaking gold. Like he created the
Except the Lion King.
What?
Except the Lion King.
Well, yeah.
That movie to me was if you watched the behind the scenes of The Mandalorian, that movie felt like a test of technology that they perfected to do The Mandalorian.
Fair enough.
It's interesting to watch.
Jungle Book was a whole lot better.
Jungle Book was awesome because it wasn't a like photoreal, like it was photorealistic, but like The Lion King was the exact same movie, photorealistic lions that didn't seem like they emoted. They didn't build it. I mean, I had high hopes for The Lion King. I know we're like tangential, but like I had high hopes for The Lion King just from the fact of they had built up so much mythology since the first film with The Lion King 2 and The Lion Guard. They could have like made something really special with The Lion King, but they just did the exact same movie.
That's all they had to do.
So,
I mean, it made $1 billion.
I mean, Disney's model, like it's COVID screwed everything. It was all right. We'll just take every movie that was animated and make it live action.
That's all you gotta do.
And some of them were awesome, and some of them sucked. I'm looking at you, Beauty and the Beast. You sucked.
I still haven't watched Mulan yet.
The first half of it's good. And then there's one point in the movie where the movie changes. The story changes. And then it sucks from there.
Well, speaking of stuff that sucks. So this Green Lantern movie here.
Yeah. It had the ingredients to be something great.
Look